A man in his late 60s stands before Judge Caprio, dressed in a custodian's uniform. It seems like a simple parking violation, something that should take no more than 3 minutes to resolve. But then he says something that makes everyone in the courtroom pause. "Your Honor, I was late because I was at a Secret Service debriefing." Judge Caprio's raised eyebrows mirror what everyone else is thinking. Really? But then, the janitor reaches into his pocket and takes out something that instantly silences the room. Skepticism fades into disbelief. It's clear this man isn't delusional. What he carries reveals a story so extraordinary that the courtroom momentarily forgets this is traffic court. From this point, it's no longer about a parking ticket. It's about a custodian who once saved a life, a judge who nearly overlooked a hero, and a powerful reminder to never judge someone by their uniform. Stay with the story until the end. The twist will leave you thinking. Comment where you're watching from and subscribe for more true moments from Judge Caprio's courtroom. Monday morning,
4:45 a.m. The bailiff announces Case 9247, Martin Hayes.
Expired meter. An older black man steps forward, wearing dark blue work clothes with Providence Medical Center facilities stitched neatly on his chest pocket. He walks with a slight limp, the kind that comes from decades of hard work. Judge Caprio looks up. "Good morning, Mr. Hayes." "Morning, Your Honor," Martin replies quietly, his tone respectful. "I see you're here for an expired meter violation downtown, $75 fine." The citation was issued at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. "Can you explain what happened?" Martin takes a slow breath before answering. "Your Honor, I worked the night shift at the medical center as the maintenance supervisor. That morning I had to meet with federal agents and the meeting ran longer than expected. When I got back to my car, I found the ticket." Judge Caprio pauses, pen hovering over the file. "Federal agents?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Secret Service." The courtroom falls silent. A few people exchange surprised looks. Here we go again. Another unusual explanation. Judge Caprio's expression remains calm but noticeably skeptical as he raises an eyebrow. "Mr. Hayes, you're saying you were meeting with the United States Secret Service? About what exactly?" Martin hesitates before responding. "There was an incident at the hospital, Your Honor. I can't share all the details, but I was asked to give a statement." "An incident involving the Secret Service?" Judge Caprio repeats, his tone measured but doubtful. "Mr. Hayes, I've heard many explanations in this courtroom. Traffic delays, family emergencies, even alien encounters, but Secret Service meetings, that's a first." A quiet ripple of laughter moves through the gallery. Martin doesn't react. "I understand how it sounds, Your Honor," he says earnestly, "but it's the truth. Do you want me to show proof of meeting?" Judge's expression changes completely. "Do you have any proof of this meeting?" Judge Caprio asks. Martin nods. "Yes, Your Honor. I have something." He reaches into his wallet carefully and pulls out not a business card, but an official-looking credential bearing the seal of the Department of Homeland Security. The bailiff takes it and hands it to Judge Caprio. As the judge examines the card, his expression changes. The skepticism in his eyes disappears. He looks up at Martin now with genuine interest. "Mr. Hayes," Judge Caprio says, "this appears to be an official witness credential from a Secret Service investigation, complete with case number, agent contact, and validity dates." This is authentic." The courtroom stirs quietly. This hearing has just taken a surprising turn. Leaning forward, Judge Caprio continues, "Mr. Hayes, I owe you an apology for doubting your statement earlier. Can you tell us what this pertains to, or is it classified?" Martin exhales, relieved to finally be believed. "Some parts are still restricted, Your Honor, but the general facts are public record now, so I can share those." "Please do," the judge replies. Martin's tone is calm but heavy with significance. 3 weeks ago, a former congressman was admitted to Providence Medical Center for emergency surgery. Because of credible threats to his life, the Secret Service was assigned to provide protection. Judge Caprio listens closely as the room falls. Completely silent. "I was on my regular overnight shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. cleaning the surgical recovery wing," Martin continues. "Around 3:30 a.m., while emptying trash in a nearby storage room, I noticed something that clearly didn't belong." "What did you notice?" Judge Caprio asks. Martin takes a breath before replying carefully. "A ceiling tile was slightly out of place. Not by much, maybe 1/4 of an inch, but enough for me to notice. I'd been in that room the night before and it was perfectly aligned then. Did you investigate it yourself? The judge continues. No, Your Honor. That wasn't my responsibility, Martin explains. But something didn't feel right. The congressman's room was directly below that area, so I went to the Secret Service agent in the hallway and mentioned it. Judge Caprio leans forward. And what happened next? At first he brushed it off, Martin says. Told me everything was secure. But I insisted. I told him, I've worked in that building for 22 years. I can tell when something's wrong. Finally, the agent contacted his supervisor. Martin's hands tremble slightly as he continues, reliving the moment. They evacuated the congressman right away and called in a full team to inspect the ceiling. When they checked above the room, he pauses. The entire courtroom leans forward. They found a man hiding there with a weapon. Gasps ripple through the room. Judge Caprio's expression tightens in shock. A man was in the ceiling? Yes, Your Honor, Martin confirms. He had entered the building through a maintenance shaft the day before and had been hiding for over 24 hours, waiting for a chance to strike. My God, Caprio murmurs. Martin adds softly, if I hadn't seen that ceiling tile, if I hadn't pressed them to check. He trails off. The unspoken truth fills the silence. Judge Caprio sits back, absorbing the gravity of it. Mr. Hayes, you saved that man's life. I just did what felt right, Your Honor, Martin replies humbly. The Secret Service later asked for a full statement, exactly what I saw, when I saw it, and why it caught my attention. The meeting was meant to last an hour, but they kept asking follow-up questions. By the time I returned to my car, the meter had expired. Judge Caprio looks down at the parking ticket on his desk, a $75 fine issued to the man who unknowingly stopped an assassination attempt. Man with weapon found hiding. Subscribe now if you believe true heroes often wear work uniforms. Judge Caprio stands, something he rarely does in routine cases. The courtroom immediately senses the gravity of the moment. Mr. Hayes, he begins, I need to say something. When you first walked in, I saw a custodian with a parking ticket. I expected to hear a reason for the violation, maybe reduce the fine and move to the next case. Martin nods in understanding. But what you've described isn't an excuse, the judge continues. It's an act of courage. You noticed something that trained security personnel missed. You trusted your instincts, insisted on being heard even when dismissed, and because of that, someone is alive today. Your Honor, I was just doing my... Don't downplay it. Judge Caprio interrupts. You've worked in that building for 22 years. You know every detail of it. That experience, that attention, not luck, saved a life. His voice grows firmer. This parking citation is dismissed completely. You owe nothing. Martin exhales in visible relief. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not done, Caprio adds. Bailiff, please record that Mr. Martin Hayes is exempt from parking enforcement in Providence for the next year. Any citation he receives is to be sent directly to my office for immediate dismissal. Applause fills the courtroom. Martin looks moved, almost speechless. An elderly man in the audience rises. He's wearing a veteran's cap. Your Honor, may I speak? I'm a retired FBI agent, 30 years of federal service. What Mr. Hayes noticed, one ceiling tile slightly out of place in the middle of the night. That's exceptional observational awareness. We spend years training agents to reach that level. He had it naturally. The agent turns toward Martin. Sir, you're a hero. Plain and simple. A woman in her 40s stands next. Your Honor, I'm a nurse at Providence Medical Center. I was on duty that night. We heard about the evacuation but didn't know the full story until later. The entire hospital has been talking about the custodian who saved the congressman. Mr. Hayes, everyone on staff wants to thank you. Martin wipes his eyes, humbled. Retired FBI agent speaks, I just worked there. Mr. Hayes begins quietly. You're not just anything. Judge Caprio interrupts gently. You're a man who observes, who trusts his instincts, and who speaks up when others stay silent. Those qualities saved a life today. Turning to the courtroom, Judge Caprio continues, Ladies and gentlemen, I want everyone here to understand what almost happened. Mr. Hayes came in wearing his work clothes, a custodian facing a parking ticket, and I nearly dismissed his explanation without giving it proper attention. He pauses thoughtfully. We do this far too often. We see someone's uniform, their position or status, and make assumptions. We think, a custodian must be making excuses. believing they couldn't possibly be part of something significant like a security operation. A young nurse in the audience raises her hand. Your Honor, I think we all do that. Judge people by appearances. Exactly, Judge Caprio agrees. And it's wrong. Mr. Hayes has worked at that hospital for 22 years. He knows that building better than anyone. His expertise may not come with a title or a stethoscope, but it's just as vital. And on that night, his knowledge was the most valuable expertise in the entire building. Martin, another custodian, speaks softly. Your Honor, may I say something? Of course, Caprio nods. I've been a custodian for 40 years, different places, different cities. Most of the time people don't even see me. They walk by like I'm part of the furniture. No eye contact, no hello. Just the guy who empties the trash and mops the floors. His voice trembles slightly. But that night, that Secret Service agent after Hero finally recognized when they found the man in the ceiling. He shook my hand, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Thank you for saving a life." No one has ever spoken to me like that, as if I truly mattered. The courtroom falls silent, taking in his words. Your Honor, having this parking ticket dismissed, that's generous, he continues. But what really matters is that you listened to me. You believed me. You saw me. That's something no amount of money can buy. Judge Caprio's eyes glisten as he responds, Mr. Hayes, you've always mattered. Every person who walked past you in that hospital without noticing your worth, that was their failure, not yours. You have always been valuable and deserving of respect. That night only revealed what was true all along. A man in a business suit rises from the audience. Your Honor, I'm a hospital administrator, not from Providence Medical, but I work in healthcare. And Mr. Hayes is absolutely right. Custodial workers are often overlooked. That needs to change. They're the backbone of our hospitals, the ones who notice problems before anyone else and keep everything functioning. They deserve to be treated as the professionals they are. Judge Caprio nods. That's precisely it, Mr. Hayes. Your story should be shared, not just about that night, but about 4 decades of dedicated service, about expertise earned through hard work, and about paying attention when others don't. As the case wraps up, a nurse from Providence Medical steps forward. Mr. Hayes, the hospital is organizing a recognition ceremony. The director wants to honor you formally. Will you accept? Martin looks hesitant. I don't need that. Please, she insists gently. Let us thank you properly, he pauses, then nods. Okay. Judge Caprio adds one final reflection. Mr. Hayes, I made a mistake today. When you first mentioned the Secret Service, I doubted you. I allowed assumptions to cloud my judgment. You reminded me that truth often comes from unexpected places, and that heroes don't always fit the image we expect. Martin smiles softly. Your Honor, you listened in the end. That's what mattered. Yes, Judge Caprio agrees, but I should have listened right away. That's my lesson. As Martin leaves the courtroom, a quiet respect lingers in the air. A silent acknowledgement of a man whose humility and integrity finally received the recognition they long deserved. Several people from the gallery approach to shake his hand, thank him and ask for photos. The custodian who usually goes unnoticed is finally acknowledged. During a break, a retired FBI agent speaks with Judge Caprio. Your Honor, he says, what Mr. Hayes did spotting that ceiling tile was remarkable. We teach threat assessment at the FBI Academy, and I'd like to invite him to speak to one of our classes. It's a perfect example that real awareness comes not just from training, but from truly caring about your surroundings. Judge Caprio nods with a smile. I think he'd be honored. Subscribe to Judge Stories for moments when everyday heroes are recognized, and when ordinary work reveals extraordinary people. Martin Hayes came to court expecting to pay a fine. He left with his ticket dismissed, a year of parking immunity, and a courtroom that finally saw him for who he was. Judge Caprio once again demonstrated that justice begins with listening, even when a story sounds unlikely. This is what happens when we look beyond appearances, when custodians become protectors, and when a single misplaced ceiling tile ends up saving a life. Comment below. Who is the unseen hero in your community? Tag them and let them know they're finally seen.